Welcome to Wholesale Hotline, where we cover everything to do with wholesale real estate. I'm Jamil Damji.
I'm Brent Daniels.
And I am Pace Morby.
And together we cover the most important parts of wholesale real estate.
Lead generation.
Conversion of sellers into contracts.
And dispositions. Guys, remember when you're watching this show, do us a favor and squad up in the comments.
Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the YouTube channels and in the Facebook group Wholesale Hotline.
Most important, we want to know we're doing a great job for you and helping you build your business. So go give us a review on iTunes and or Spotify.
So squad up and enjoy the show!
And one, and a two, and a three.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Scarby. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. All I wanted for my birthday was Jerry Norton to show up to Wholesale Hotline. That's all I wanted.
Happy birthday, Pacer.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Okay, I'm done.
All my best friends are on the screen right now. I love all three of you guys.
You guys are amazing.
Happy birthday. How old are you, Pace?
I'm 39.
And as you reflect back on the past year, anything stand out?
I need to work harder.
Yeah, I was going to say that. I think you basically took a year off.
I do. I feel like I took a year off, and we just been relaxing this last year. Well, here's the thing: is like I love being around Brent Daniels, Jamil Damji, Jerry Norton, and a handful of our other buddies, because when you're around these other Goliaths in this business, you realize that there's so much more you can do. And I just saw this post that Jerry made the other day. It's got me like so inspired. I wrote the whole thing down and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to do a deal like this. And your friends, the people that are around you, challenge you to do bigger and better things constantly. It's kind of like if you ever skateboarded, or if you ever did like, you know, you jumped on the trampoline with your buddies, or you went bike riding. It's like one buddy did a little bunny hop and jumped on a curb and you're like, oh, I want to do that too. Oh, I can do a flip on the trampoline. My buddy just did one. That's how I feel right now. I'm watching you guys operate at such optimal levels that it makes me want to work even harder this year. So thank you for the birthday wishes. And thank you, Jerry Norton, for making my birthday come true and coming into Wholesale Hotline.
Yeah, Jerry, tell everybody where you're at.
Me?
Yep.
So I got a gazebo out by the pool. You can kind of see the pool back. Your house is kind of right this way. And I glassed it all in. I put air conditioning in here. I got to get some furniture, but this is my new, you know, I'm inspired by Brent, so I got to get me like a YouTube studio. I can't keep doing it out of the bedroom, you know?
Pace.
With the baby napping next to you?
Yeah. While someone's changing diapers. Yeah.
I said to Jerry, I feel like that room smells like sweat and money.
Oh, 100%. This is the new gazebo.
You
built this, right?
This is where it's all won and lost, right in here.
Did you just build this?
Yeah, just got the glass in. Yeah.
Incredible.
In Puerto Rico.
Yeah, so I'm in Puerto Rico. Yep.
Awesome.
I got all my fruit trees over here. My chicken's back this way.
I saw the new rooster on your Instagram today.
New rooster. Hey, Pace, you know what, though? What you said earlier? So I remember at the point where I felt like I had kind of like arrived in business. And the defining moment was when I had 100% control over the people that I associated with in my life.
Oh, that's dope.
That was transformational for me to have complete control, totally decide the type of people that I'm around in my business, my employees, the people I associate with, like you guys. That was transformational because the people you're around just have such an influence on your life, like you said. So I'm all for that.
I'm writing that down. I freaking love that. It's one of my favorite things as well, is just doing cool things with cool people. And I think that day we spent in Utah meant a lot to me, just spending the day with you and spending the day with Jamil and Steve Harward at PCS and just being around really cool people that are just trying to serve at a higher level. I also, here's something that I learned as well. Okay. Going back into Jerry, Jamil, and myself were standing in this like little photo area as this meetup was ending a couple of weeks ago. And we're having easily 150 people come through, take photos with us. And it was amazing to see Jerry's reaction to all the people that were coming through the line saying, Jerry, you changed my life. Jerry, I did my first deal because of you. Jerry, I've probably made $1 million because of your YouTube videos. And we're flying back home on this private jet, right? After we walked through Arctic Circle, we got some burgers through Arctic Circle. That was great. Good fun time. We're flying home on this jet and Jerry goes, dude, honestly, I never do in-person events and I never get to hear this live feedback from people. I didn't know I was impacting so many people at such a deep level. I'm like, bro, you've been impacting me. Like so many of us are in this game doing YouTube content and helping and serving at such a high level because you paved the way 6, 7, 8 years ago. And it was amazing to watch your reaction to not even knowing how many people you were impacting and all the dominoes that you were laying out in front of us.
Well, you're too nice, Pace. I wish I was half as good as you thought I was.
Well,
Jerry, I do have a question for you because today is a Q&A. We're going to have a lot of people that are going to ask a lot of questions in the side chat. I have one of the most important questions for me personally to you as my friend. When is enough enough? Because I know you're making good money. I see these big rips that you're taking down. Like you've got these big properties. Some of these properties you're doing big flips on, bro. You're making $1 million to $2 million on some of these. One deal, you're making net $1 million plus multiple times a year. Is there a point where Jerry Norton says, I have enough money, I'm going to slow down? Or do you feel like your systems, your processes, et cetera, allow you to continue to operate and make a lot of money without actually taking a ton of time up in your life?
Man, I am so glad you're asking this question, Pace. This is something that weighs on my heart a lot because, you guys know I have a huge family, 10 kids, and, 2 are out right now. So the third one, he's 17, he's getting ready to leave in a year. And, money is important and it goes so far, but man, I'm also facing my mortality. I feel like, I turned 45 in a couple of months, which I'm still feel young and strong and energetic, but, I'm seriously asking the questions of how do I change the way I do business that pulls me out of it even more so that I have more time to spend with my wife, with my kids. And so that's something that's very important to me. I feel very fortunate to be facing that kind of question. Like, man, how do I streamline things a little bit more so that I can work even less? And I think, Pace, there's a way to not jeopardize the income so much. I mean, maybe a little bit, but yeah, I want to figure that out. I want to figure out how to keep operating at a high level income wise, but free myself up even more. So systems and processes are very important and a big part of my business and my life, more so now than ever before, I think.
So is there a point where you don't need any more money, or is there also another point where you start looking at your legacy, your children, and making sure you have enough cash stacked that, 20 years, 50 years beyond your passing, there's enough money and assets there that you don't have to worry about your family, your children, and their success? Or like, is this now a sport? Like, is it now just a fun game you're playing every single day because money is not the object?
Yeah, this might be a weird answer and I'll probably get some heat for it. It's very unconventional, but I'll say it anyway. I don't plan on leaving any money to my kids.
Oh, damn. Wait, what? Hold on. Say that one more time.
I have already sat all my kids down and I said, you guys don't get a dime of my money. Are you okay with that? And, they're young,
giving it to Wholesale Hotline in your will.
Yeah, because, I came from nothing and it's what allowed me to get where I'm at. I don't think it would be way different, my experience, had I been handed, the easy button. So I don't want that for my kids. I want them to pave their own way. I want them to make their own way. I don't want them thinking, you know what, I can kind of coast right now because I'll get dad's money one day. So I'm not giving them any of my money. They're going to have to go earn it like I did. And I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that's what I'm doing.
I'm curious about Brent
with
Jamil's belief on that. What do you guys think about that answer?
I think it's an incredible answer, and here's my thought. I don't think leaving them nothing would be the way that I'd go. Like zero is not the way I'd go. I'd leave them enough for that, so that when they had or walked into something that they were truly passionate about,
right,
they'd be able to connect the dots in a very, very small way, right? So they'd be able to possibly, get their first business started or have enough seed capital to make it through their first year of operations. That's it.
Well, all hard money lent to them and charge them, 15% and 5 points, yeah.
Even better.
Did you just say 5 points? Dang.
Yeah. It won't be cheap. Yeah.
You have to give your kids an opportunity to pave their way, but also to go through the challenges of earning it. And I don't think that unless you go through the challenges of earning it, will you ever have the mental maturity and the business acumen to be able to sustain and actually have the thing that you're trying to create stay and have a lasting effect in the world. So I love that answer, Jerry. I think it's a responsible way to approach entrepreneurship. It's a responsible way. And look, my kids, they'll understand that from now. They're going to know that from now. Like, don't expect that you're going to get handed anything. You'll get an opportunity. You're going to have a mentor. You're going to have somebody, like, you'll have a father that you can ask questions to anytime. But I am not going to pay for you to be a piece of shit.
Well, and you know what? I'm not even worried about it. I'm honestly not worried about it at all, because we've talked about it like a billion times on here, that you become who you hang out with, right? Who you're surrounding with, who are you, and you spend a ton of time with your kids. They're going to get it. They're going to understand what it takes to become that.
100%.
So I'm not worried about it at all. Leaving money, not leaving money. I fully expect Bo, my youngest, to just go bananas and whatever he wants to do, because he sees me do it. He sees you do it. He sees Pace and Jerry do it. You know what I mean? Like, if he's interested in it, he's going to get surrounded by it. And that is the key. It is not, here's a blank check. Just go, figure it out. Come on. No way. There's no way.
And is legacy not more than dollars? Is legacy not character, values, and the things, the lessons, the
confidence?
The things that you're able to teach, the way that you're able to bless a brain. That's legacy. I mean, we've got if you're looking at legacy, guys, the 4 of us on the screen have more legacy with respect to the number of minds that we've been able to affect to help change their financial futures than we'll ever have in our biological children.
Yeah. If I do, I saw some comments about stipulations. I think if I leave them any money, it'll be when they're like 50. So they have to already make it in life, something like that. So they don't need it.
Well, Jerry, then here's the next follow-up question. Why are you still working? Because I think a lot of people start this journey by watching videos on your channel. You're well over 300,000 subscribers, by the way. Congratulations. Thank you. Are the guy running through the jungle with a machete. We're all following you. You're the king. We love you so much. But people are following you, dude. And at the end of the day, we are following down a path. We kind of want to know where the end of that rainbow, what that pot of gold looks like. Is it, I'm done working because I've accomplished what I wanted? Or did you get to where you're at because you enjoy the thrill of the journey itself? And so that journey never really is over.
Yeah. So that's the biggest challenge, because I feel like you guys, I honestly believe there's like an entrepreneur gene that you have inside you, and it's very hard to turn that off. It's the thrill of the deal. It's the impact you're having on the world. And that's very motivating. It drives me. I honestly stopped counting the money a while ago. The money keeps coming, which is amazing, and it's got to be part of the equation. But when you're operating at a level where you're trying to just have massive impact, trying to grow and develop yourself, then the money just it just starts coming naturally, right? Effortlessly. And that's been my experience, but it is very, very hard for me to slow down, to turn it off. It's a constant battle every day to manage, like wanting to do bigger, wanting to do more, and trying to make the right decisions around those things. It's not easy. It's just part of it, I think, part of that. Here's the thing. I've been thinking a lot about this, and here's what I think. You guys can relate to this. You three can really relate to this, and hopefully people listening. But for like 15 years on my business, I'm just grinding. And then, you hit like that home run deal, like the deal of a lifetime. And you're like, this is the deal I've been waiting for 10 years or 15 years. I finally get this deal. And you do that deal and you make $1 million or whatever. And then next thing you know, another one comes and you're like, whoa, here it is again. I can't say no. This is like what I've been waiting for. And then another one comes and then another one comes. And then what ends up happening is you just keep taking the deal of a lifetime. And if you're not careful, you don't have a relationship with your wife. Your kids aren't involved in your life. Or you get worse, you end up divorced, unhealthy, and you got tons of money, but no relationships and the things that really matter, your spirituality, your physical health. And I don't want that to happen. I don't want to fall into that. So the biggest challenge I'm facing is having to say no to the next deal of a lifetime, because they just come now so much easier than they did for so long. And I have to tell myself, hey, it's okay. There's another deal of a lifetime next week. You can say no. This one's not the deal of the war, like your 5 lifetimes. It's only 1 lifetime. So wait for the 5 lifetime deal. You know what I mean? And but I just feel so grateful to God to be in a position where I can be super choosy about the projects I take on. I love that.
What do you think was the tipping point there, Jerry? When do you think that happened? Because we talk about the deal of a lifetime coming around about once a week, right? That's a Dolph DeRoos quote from, 98 or whatever it was. But when did that really start popping? When did it really, was it year 1? Was it year 5? Was it 10, 15? Was there a specific moment where you just saw that the momentum started really picking up? The wind was finally behind your back?
Yeah, great question. So, my business model for the last several years has been to focus on margin over volume. And it's just what I've chosen. It's not the right thing necessarily for everybody, but that meant I had to keep pushing into luxury real estate.
Yep.
And it was really like super challenging to hit like the $1 million sale price, like ARV $1 million. I remember that day, it was a thrill. That meant my net profit was a couple $100,000. And I kept having this vision. I said, one day I'm going to do a single deal that makes $1 million on one deal. And I had that vision, and I thought about it all the time. I questioned it. I wondered, I pushed. And so my first bump into like the 3 million price point, I did 3 deals that either lost a little bit or broke even. And it was about a 3-year process to go through those 3 deals. I had the wrong financing. I overdid it. I made all the mistakes, but I didn't care because I was like, this is the only way I'm going to figure it out. And then, about 5 years of then I did one that was okay. And then boom, I hit that deal. And it wasn't that long ago, a year ago or so, where I hit that $1 million deal. And it was like, okay, I reached this goal. And then what's amazing is like, 3 more of those just happened like really fast right after that one. And that's kind of that, deal of a lifetime just kind of comes back again and back again. And I think it was like that proof of concept, like we did when we did our first $5,000 wholesale deal. Mm-hmm. That was on like $1 million deal, right? It was like proof of concept kind of thing. And then I was all in, and then it was just like normal. Well, yeah, of course I'm going to do $1 million deal, yeah, that's what I do, $1 million deals. So yeah, I think that's kind of what happened. But the thing is most people aren't willing to work at it for 3 years, losing money to figure it out. Most people are like, you know what? If I can't figure it out really fast, then I'm going to give up and move on and find something easier to do. And I didn't do that. I kept working at it and learning what I needed to progress.
I got a couple questions for you. So I think we're going to get to the comment section. A lot of really good questions in there. I think Jerry and Jamil have some really symbiotic questions in the side comments about doing deals on market and with agents. And so we should definitely jump on those. Jamil just had a super, super successful challenge called the Transformation Challenge for the last 3 days. A lot of people locking up deals on the MLS live. So we'll jump on that. I want to kind of do a recap on that. And that definitely ties into Jerry, because guys, I don't like MLS deals and I don't like real estate agents personally, but it doesn't mean it's the right or the wrong way. It's just kind of like what Jerry's talking about with the $1 million deals. He figured out that that's what he wanted to focus his time and energy on. Couple of questions here, Jerry. One, where can people find you? What is your YouTube channel?
So Flipping Mastery TV on YouTube, you'll find me.
Flipping Mastery TV. You've been on that channel, what now, 6 years probably?
A while I've been on the channel, but 3 years now where I've taken it like serious, you know, like actively putting out content every week, about 3 years now.
Okay, love it. Now, if you guys go to his channel, I would say the two best channels on YouTube for wholesaling real estate are definitely Brent Daniels and Jerry Norton. Okay. So Jerry, was there a point where you made that decision to switch into bigger deals? Because I know that's not how you started. I know you started in smaller deals in Detroit, right? What was your first deal? What did that look like?
Yeah, so Metro Detroit, you know, that's where I started. I was working in construction, you know, underground construction. So it was digging for a utility company. Married, had a couple kids already, and just felt like I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't providing the way they needed providing. And heard about this wholesaling, like all of us, like, what's this? Started my journey of education, did it for about a year as a side hustle. And my goal was, I want to do enough deals to then have a year's worth of the income at my job set aside, and then I'll go full time. And that was only like $25,000 or $30,000. It wasn't very much, but it took me about a year, and I had that money set aside. So I quit the job and I go full time. First month wholesaling full time, did 5 deals, made $52,000 in month one full time.
Okay, we got to pause here for a second, because the audience needs to understand. Here you are in Puerto Rico. You just built a gazebo, or you built like a separate house on your 3-acre parcel overlooking the ocean. You've got not one lake house, but you have 2 lake houses next to each other in Kalispell, freaking Montana. You are a gangster. But we have to pause here for a second. You had a goal at one point that is very similar to the audience, which was, I want to quit my job. I'm not going anywhere. Here's what my goal is. You're breaking down small goals of, if I can stack up $25,000, I will quit my job.
Yeah.
Were you thinking too small at that point?
Well, you know, the funny thing is, Pace, when I jumped in that first month and I did 52,000, the first thought I had was, why didn't I quit the job and go all in sooner? But I don't think that's the way to look at it. I mean, I learned so much in that year. It was the grind. I mean, I was doing it before work, after work, weekends, at lunch. I was paying the price that a lot of people aren't willing to pay. And I needed to go through that experience. I needed to sacrifice and eat, you know, peanut butter and jelly, because I didn't have the money. And so I'm grateful for that. Like, that really helped me commit to the business, because I sacrificed and I was willing to pay the price and put in the work.
Okay, so we've got a bunch of people in the audience that have 9-to-5 jobs, might have never gotten their first deal, that they look at guys like you, like me, Jamil, Brent, making millions of dollars worth, and we're all worth millions of dollars, and we do a lot of deals. Jamil on the screen probably does all 3 of us combined every single month. He does more than all 3 of us combined in terms of volume. So you look at these 4 guys on the screen and go, I can't be these guys. The reason why I wanted to pause is because at one point, this Jerry Norton badass character on this screen had a goal of simply trying to save $25,000 in the very beginning of his journey. And you guys see where that led him. You are on the right path. If you guys are trying to get into wholesale real estate, you are absolutely on the freaking right path. But the next thing you said that really stands out is, most people are not willing to put in the work. They say stuff like, I have a 9-to-5 job. My wife doesn't support me. I've got kids. You don't understand, Pace. I have kids. And they have all these things. What was going through your mind at the time when you did those first handful of deals? Was your wife fully supporting you and helping you answer phone calls and doing follow-up? Was your wife making your peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and saying, hey, go out and make those calls? Or was it truly a grind that you had to like stomach through with the right mindset?
Yeah. So no support. Family, everybody thought I was chasing a hoax. My wife grew up where her dad worked at the same job for 30 years and retired there. So this was completely outside of her, what's normal for her. So she was very unsupportive of it. She's like, you want to buy a house? Like what? We can't even afford our apartment, you know, like, what are you trying to do here? And I'll never forget, like wasn't my first deal, but it was one of the first couple deals. I did this wholesale, made $4,000. And the guy, now remember guys, this is Detroit. So the guy paid me in a brown paper bag with bills, $4,000.
That's your first deal?
No, it wasn't my first deal. It was my third or fourth, but it was $4,000 in cash in a brown paper bag. Like I was scared driving home, you know? And so I get home, my wife's not there, and I lay the money out everywhere, like all over the house, right? And with sticky notes that said, thank you for believing in me. Thank you for supporting me. I couldn't do this without you. And then she comes walking in and I'm lying on the bed, you know, with money all over me. And she's like,
are you
you're
joking?
You absolute dog. Okay.
Is this where child number 3 came in?
Visual that I'll never forget, and I'm grateful to have. Actually,
that's where kid number 4 came from, I think.
Yes.
Just real quick. So you took money in a brown paper bag and you rubbed it all over your body and your home. Okay.
With sticky notes. Yeah, you got it. That's it. Yeah. And you know what though? She didn't support me and she didn't believe in me yet. Right. And so this is what I tell people. I said, listen, if you have people in your life who don't believe you, the best way to get them to believe you is to go do it and prove it to them.
This is the greatest advice ever. Jamil, do you have anything to add on top of that? I see you nodding your head. You like that advice?
I mean, you know, the funny thing is, right? I just like Jerry went through very similar resistance from people, you know, my mom, my dad, my sister, you know, they all knew that if I put my mind to something, I was going to accomplish it because they saw me do this as a child. I would always accomplish whatever goal I had in my brain. And I built a wholesale operation in Canada that became wildly successful, but then I lost it all. So the second time around when I was going to do this, nobody was in my own family, mother, father, sister, they all believed in me. But now I have a new character in the mix. I am engaged. Mm-hmm. I have a soon-to-be bride, and I have future in-laws that have this future son-in-law who's talking about this pie-in-the-sky kind of business where I can create tens of thousands of dollars from nothing.
Right.
And
how can you buy real estate? You don't have any money.
You have no money.
Yeah.
And my father-in-law, let's understand, like he's a great guy. He comes from a very, very strong background in construction where everything that he made, he built, he felt, he touched, right? And so he's a salt of the earth kind of guy. And I'm talking very ethereal concepts here. Equitable interest and selling control,
assignment
in a deal for profits, like
selling possibility.
Yes, I'm selling potential. Like you're doing what, mother? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is that drugs? Is potential a drug? Like what are you selling again? So there was a lot of resistance in my life because people, they just couldn't understand what I was doing. But at the same time, it didn't matter.
No.
Yeah. I was going to say, here's the best part of that story is my wife says to me, she's like, well, Jerry, what are we going to do with this money? Like, what are we going to do with this money? And I said, here's what we're going to do with this money. We're going to put it in a box. And every Friday night, we're going to use this money for date night, for babysitter and to go on date night. And that's what we did. And I said to her, you matter to me more than money, more than this business I'm trying to do, more than any of it. You matter the most to me. And so this is our date night money. And we did every Friday night for like whatever, a couple years, that was our date night money and babysitting money. And that was special. That was a special moment for us. And then now she's like, Jerry, well, what's it look like to do another one of these deals? Like, when's your next deal? You know, and totally on board, right? Totally supportive. But she had
dude, I don't think you guys could break this down any better. This is like one of the greatest pieces of advice ever. You will have adversity. Your loved ones, your married, the woman who has birthed your first couple of children will have absolute negativity against change, right? I know your wife. and she's like clockwork, right? Yeah. She built an incredibly successful homeschooling model. A lot of people in the comments are like giving her props. She's well known in that world. I'm sure that she does not love change.
No, so she's a very type A personality, very organized, very strategic. And this like risk taking is like totally foreign to her. Now she's used to it now because it's 23 years later, right? But so it wasn't that she didn't like love me or want me to succeed. It wasn't any of that. Now some people have that in their life, and that's toxic. That's bad. It was just you seem to think because you're starting a new venture that everybody's got to be supportive of you. No, they don't, and they're not going to be, and it's okay. Don't expect them to be. I did not expect my wife to support me.
In fact, you should expect them not to be supportive of you. Yeah. That is the advice here. And then what Jerry did immediately, he went to his wife and he said, I love you more than anything else. I want to show it to you. Let's go on date night. You doubled down on your relationship. Bro, this is like amazing advice, because I can tell you there are people in the side chat right now that have DM'd me privately asking me questions about their relationship and how to get their wife or their husband or whoever their loved one is on board with them, and they haven't gotten their first deal yet. So the advice you gave is, dude, don't expect them to support you. Go get the deal done. Show them that it's possible, not from a negative standpoint. Yeah. Don't give them a negative, see, I told you, none of that stuff. But go to them and say, hey, I got this done. I want to reinvest in our relationship and show you, like, bro, this is some of the greatest advice ever for people starting out.
Yeah.
So your first month in, you make $52,000 and you're like, why didn't I get started earlier?
Yeah. So that question comes up. I know you guys get it all the time. Hey, should I quit my job and do this full time? And that's not an answer I can give, or any of us. Like, you gotta sit down and say, what, you figure that out. You know, when are you ready to go all in and go all in? The thing is, though, is I never had this like plan B. It was never like, you know what, if wholesaling doesn't work out, it's okay. I got a degree, or I'm going to school to get a degree, or I'll do this or whatever. It was always like, I don't know how long it's going to take me, but I'm going to figure this out because I'm all in. I believe in this and I'm going to do it. So that also was a different mindset. I think that really helped me put in the work, because I knew, hey, if I'm just consistent, I'm going to see results. And so now it's just a matter of doing it, and never a doubt about when, right? So, or if, but rather when.
Freaking love it. So let's go into the side chat. People know your story. People love you. I mean, we've got, this is like a full Jerry love fest in the side comments. It makes me feel good that we brought you in here today. Everybody here loves you, but let's talk about, working with agents and on-market deals. You do it a lot. Jamil loves it. Jamil, how was your challenge, brother? Tell us about that challenge. And I know the answer to this.
It was off the hook.
I want you to tell everybody, is there a way they can watch the replay? Tell us how it went, and then tell me if we can go back and watch the replay.
It was an incredible 3 days. So I called it the Transformation Challenge because I believe one deal can transform your life. It did it for me. It's done it for Jerry. It did it for Brent. It's 100%. Done it for you. A deal can transform your life. And really, the amount of complexity that that people put into that one deal is what I think kills a lot of people's dreams, because they overcomplicate. They think it's got to be all this, got to be that. They've got to, oh my God, I have to learn how to talk to a seller, and I have to learn how to, comp like a blue genie, and I have to be able to, run a software and run deal analytics and figure out how much this flips. No, and no. You can really distill so much of what we do down to the basic concepts of this show, which is we need a lead. Yep. We need to be able to understand what we can pay for that deal. We need to have a buyer.
Yeah.
Right. And so the challenge was incredible because we used a tool that allows you to go out and scrape the MLS. So whatever market you're in the United States, it'll go into the MLS of that market. It'll scrape the MLS and it'll identify possible deals that just got listed today. So if you're working a 9-to-5 job and you don't have time to cold call all day, you don't have time to do agent outreach all day, or you don't have time to do direct mail and to be able to hop on a call or PPC or whatever it is, you just don't have the time because you're working all day long. But every morning you could run a quick analytic to see if there was a deal that got listed on the MLS throughout the night. And let's just say, for instance, it also could comp that deal for you and tell you if it landed in your metrics of 70% or 60% or whatever it is, whatever percent of ARV you need to buy at for your respective market. So we were able to identify possible deals on the MLS, comp them, and if they were actual deals, which oddly enough, we had 3 stars, one on Friday, which was Ryan Zolan, one on Saturday, which was Michelle Garabito, and then on Sunday we had Brittany Berriman. All 3 of them were able to lock up a deal. And Ryan sold his already.
Yep.
And Michelle has sold hers already.
Yep.
And so we're talking about like in and out, money made, guys, money made, and it happened that fast.
Well, and you're touching on something here that I wrote down before the show. Strip away the unessential.
Yes.
Strip away the unessential. All of these things that you're worried about, all of these things that you're uncertain about because you don't have the experience is sitting next to you somewhere. Somebody in your market is going to help you out.
Yes.
But you have to take the action to find the opportunity. You can't just go, hey, when I find something, can I reach out to you and do that? No, go out there and find the opportunity. Start the action, because if that's the lead generation side of this. Lead generation, conversion, and then exit strategy, disposition. It's 3 parts.
And the conversion in this case is having an honest to goodness conversation with the real estate agent that allows you to get the deal under contract, which was why the people who came to the challenge got so much out of it. Because look, a software that that analyzes the MLS for you, awesome, right? But what do you say when you have a potential deal? How do you approach the agent? How do you not spook them? How do you get control of that deal when we know that there's probably going to be 200 other people trying to get that same house? So how do you do it? How do you maintain a relation? How do you create a relationship with the agent? Get them to work with you and then maintain that relationship for future business. And that's what we went through on the challenge. And it was an incredible 3 days. I mean, honestly, you're not supposed to cry in real estate challenges, but at the end of every day, people were so moved. We accomplished so much in these 3 days that it was just mind blowing. And people can actually see, wow, I can do just a few things and I could get my first deal. And then guys, your first deal, when you get that first $10,000 check and you now have the ability to go walk into your W-2 job and leave and
fire
just
your boss.
Fire your boss. When you can do that.
Well, I think one of the most difficult positions to be in, and Jerry mentioned it before, is being born with an entrepreneur mind. And whatever situation that you've had, whatever responsibilities were put on you during your life, you had to get a regular job, and you're sitting there and it's sucking your soul every single day. That at that one moment when you could walk in and really feed that entrepreneur beast inside you and go at this and really put the time and effort and passion into it, that is one of the greatest days of all time.
1,000%. 1,000%. And so, yes, the challenge was incredible. For those of you who weren't able to make it, we're working on being able to release the replay. I'm of course, as you know, Pace, our educational platforms are trying to sometimes hold us back from doing that. I want to give away so much for free, and it's not that our publisher doesn't want us to do that as well, but at the same time, there has to be a value to the people who actually showed up. I can't just say to people, hey, you better show up to this challenge, otherwise you're not going to get it, and then give it away anyways.
Yeah, right? That's kind of what I wanted you to lead into. I kind of feel like when you're doing these challenges, bro, you and I were in LA, right? We were looking at a house in the Hollywood Hills for me, not a second home, but an Airbnb. We fly out there. We're there with our videographers. We spent money to be out there and to spend the time. You took time away every single morning for 3 hours during that time to deliver a live challenge for people. And for people that weren't able to show up, I just don't think it shows the people on a future challenge that you're serious, right, if you just give it away. I'm sorry to say that, but you need to
Yep.
train the audience. Like, dude, if I'm going to take my time and energy away on a vacation to give you a live challenge, you need to show up live. It was free. Did you charge anybody like at the end of the challenge?
It was totally free. It was totally free. And you're right, Pace. And I think that's where we're running, because I still want to give it away, but the publisher says, Jamil, you have to stay true to the thing you said. You're not, if there was limited availability, which there was, and people had to wake up and people had to show up and people had to register and they had to do all these things to be a part of it, and then they still have access to it 5 days later if they didn't show up, that's not fair. And so, sadly, guys, unfortunately, there's not a replay.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. So a couple of things. Let's jump onto some agent stuff. Zariah says, Pace, I have an agent who'd be ready to send me deals. Can you give me a proof of funds and I'll assign it to you? So Jerry, I know that you do funding. Okay. You and I talked about this in our latest YouTube collab on your channel. If somebody needs a proof of funds or they need funding, are you providing transactional funding? What are you providing over there on Flipster? What are you doing, bro? Tell us all about it.
So I'm very concerned about regulation. As you guys know, you guys are concerned about it as well. I think the demand for transactional funding is going to go way up. And so we've started a fund and we provide that 100% funding for double closings. And so, yeah, you can register for training, learn all about it. So we're offering that. In Flipster, if you're a pro or prime subscriber, you get unlimited proof of funds. They're custom, specific to your deal, the offer price, address. And so that's really helpful if you're doing on market, because as you know, or if you don't know, the agents almost always will ask for a proof of funds and earnest money. That's another thing to make sure you know how to manage around. So there's a couple things with on market and Pace, like Jamil just showed and talked about. There's two reasons why I am a huge, huge fan and proponent of on market wholesaling. Not that it's easier than off market as far as like dispo. Dispo is harder with on market because it's public, so people know about it. So there's some things to work through there. But what I love about it is it doesn't cost you anything in marketing. And that's huge. I mean, that's huge. It doesn't cost you anything in marketing. Our off market, we spend, I don't know, $3,000 up to $5,000 per contract in off market, right? We don't spend that in on market. But even bigger than that is the relationship. I love any business model that is relationship driven. And the way I do it, and the way I'm sure Jamil's teaching it as well, is I'm building relationships with these agents that then call me on their future deals. And that is bigger than anything else, because I have agents that I've done dozens of deals with and I'm their guy. They call me before it's even listed. And so that's amazing.
Jerry, may I ask you a question?
Yeah.
If you were to stop all of it, like every other piece of marketing, all of it, and you only relied on the agents that you've built relationships with to bring you opportunities for 12 months, how much money would you make in 1 year?
If I stopped all marketing, I feel like I have enough relationships with agents that my pipeline would be fine for the next 5 years, because these agents just keep calling me. That deal, Pace, you mentioned earlier, that was a pocket listing from an agent who called me with that deal. That's how I got that deal.
Dang.
And so, multi-million-dollar deal from an agent. And so that's what's so amazing. You only need, in my opinion, I think you need about 25, maybe 30, like legit relationships with agents where they trust you, they like you, they think you're for real, that are actively in distressed real estate. And they call you and you get a shot. You don't even have to be the only one they call. Just have a shot. All of a sudden, you're going to do a dozen deals that you wouldn't have done otherwise. And there's no more cost. There's no more work other than work the leads they call you about. But that's how big of a deal it is to build these relationships with agents. People tend to think that on market is just for retail. It's not. There's just as many distressed sellers that go on market and hire agents as there are off market. We just tend to think that those aren't deals because they're listed high or whatever. It doesn't matter. Like we've gotten stuff half of list price. Just make the offer and you'll be amazed at what kind of deals you can get.
I want to point something out. Jerry, I just found this out. Jamil has one relationship Jerry, you'll believe this because you know Jamil, but he has one relationship with a lady named Monique Walker. She was a guest. What was that? 2 months ago? She was a guest on Wholesale Hotline, something like that.
Yep.
Phenomenal guest. People are already DMing us saying, come back, come back, come back. She's a realtor. Jamil and her have done over 200 deals together in the last 10 years. 200, actually it's been 8 years. So 200 deals over the last 8 years. That thing is not slowing down. It's only speeding up.
And she's bringing you on the buy, right, Jamil? She's bringing you the deals.
She brings me the deal. Yeah. And just on the one relationship, I would earn well over $1 million a year in wholesale fees from one relationship. And that's not, the other 30 or 40 agents who know my name that call me and send me opportunities throughout. So I literally could have maybe $2.5 million a year income, and I would never have to make another outreach phone call again.
Let me ask you guys both this. What is the avatar? What is the common thread of these agents? You've talked to hundreds, if not thousands of agents.
Busy.
Jerry's talking 25 to 30, and you are set once you build the relationship, build the trust, I assume, Jerry, as soon as they communicate with you, you're on it. They text you text them right back. They email you email them right back. What is, when we're going out there looking for agents to put on our squad, what are you looking for?
Well, I used to think that I'd have to find that agent that was, really, wanted to talk to me, that wanted to, wanted to build a relationship.
No.
It's the exact opposite of that. It's the agent who has no effing time. Busy, that where they understand that I understand how freaking busy they are, and I make everything for them easy. I will do the work. I will write the contract. I will do this. I will put the lockbox on. I will clean out the house. I will make sure that the keys are there. I will make sure that this happens. I will make sure that the house gets that all of the inventory in the house gets itemized and taken care of. I will make sure that something happens to the car that's been abandoned on the driveway.
Send me the deal.
Send me the deal and forget all the brain damage. I will take care of everything else.
Wait, so you're not going to make your real estate agent work for you?
No.
You're not going to make a real estate agent bend over backwards for that commission?
Hell
no. For that slice of the deal? What?
I will do it all.
You got to make these agents work. That's how you get consistent deals, is make them put in a lot of effort.
Yeah, Jamil, I couldn't agree with you more. The conversation I have with the agent is so first of all, everybody's got to understand you have to create a competitive advantage when you do on market. Yeah. So I saw a couple of things that you guys put up on the screen about an exclusive agreement. I don't do any exclusive agreements because I don't use a buyer's agent. Do not use a buyer's agent. You have to go direct to the list agent. Yes, you have to go direct to the listing agent.
Jerry, would you agree that by inserting a buyer's agent, here's why people insert a buyer's agent into a deal? Because first and foremost, they feel bad because some other agent sent you the deal and you think, oh, I've got to work with this person because they set me up on a drip campaign that auto emailed me. No, stop opening those emails and use something like Privy or go find the deal yourself. Don't look at the deals, and then you don't have the guilt of having to work with the buyer's agent. But secondly, it's because they're being lazy. They're being lazy because they got handed to them, and now this buyer's agent's making it easy for them. They'll say, I'll send you the contract, and they don't have to have the hard conversation of calling the listing agent and trying to build a relationship and trying to implement the double dip strategy. That they just don't want to do the extra work. Stop it. When you insert a buyer's agent into a deal, your chances of getting that deal under contract are 90% lower than they would have been if you had just gone to the listing agent.
Why is that, Jamil? I don't understand that.
Incentivization.
Yep. It's because you have no competitive advantage. You're the same as the other 9 offers being submitted. Whereas when you double dip, you're now up at the top of the pile. And so what I do is I call about the deal in hand and I say, hey, I'm calling you about this property. I see you just listed this property. I'm a cash buyer. I want to make your life easy. I can close. So you do the whole pitch, right? But then the most important part of the whole conversation, it's never the deal in hand. It's always the relationship. So I'll say to that agent, I'll say, hey, What do you have sitting around that's not moving? Let me make an offer on it. I'll make an offer on everything you've got and see if we can buy something. And I'll make it even better for you. The next time you sit down with a distressed seller, you figure out the number that they want. You call me. I'll tell you right on the phone. I'll give you in 5 minutes or 10 minutes or however long, I'll tell you if I can do that deal and the number. You don't even have to go on market. If the seller's on board and you're on board, we can skip the whole thing. Yep. And you know how easy that makes it for that agent? You mean I don't got to list it? I don't got to take all these calls. I don't got to deal with crazy buyer's agents and inspections and all this stuff. I can just get a deal done if I call Jerry. That's all you got to do. Just call me. And then half my deals are off market. They don't even get listed because the agent, like Jamil said, they just want their life to be easy. And they're earning 6% doing it too. Because they tell the seller, hey, guess what? It's going to cost you a total of 6% to get your house moved. Great. You're okay with that? Great. Hey, guess what? I know a buyer that will probably come in and buy this thing right now, and they'll probably pay your number. Should I give them a call? Should we skip going on market? We'll just get it done right now? Yeah, that sounds great. I want to get rid of this property. Call Jerry, done. Here we go. Right? Like That's what Jamil's talking about. Make it easy for that listing agent, and they will call you. The other thing I found is that nobody's going to believe you, right? Like they've heard this pitch. Or they're like, yeah, okay, sure, you're a cash buyer. I don't believe you. Then you do a deal. You do one deal with that agent, and you are their guy or girl. Yep. You've proven yourself now. You are on that A list. You are on that speed dial, and you are gonna. I find that if I do one deal with an agent, I'm gonna do 10 deals with an agent because I've proven it. And when you prove it to these agents, they will call you again with their next deal, especially if you made the whole thing easy for them.
Okay, switching over to buyers for just a second. I don't have an opinion about this because I want to leave this up to you guys, but this happens all the time, and I've never heard Jerry answer this question. Jerry, I'm having trouble finding a buyer.
Yes.
I have 2 homes under contract.
Yes.
What is your advice? What do you think is the issue with Mr. No Life?
Yeah, so here's what I found, and Jamil, I'd love to hear your opinion about it. I found that when you get an on-market contract and you go to dispo, half of your cash buyers are going to be turned off on that deal, not because the numbers don't match. That could be going on. Hopefully that's not going on if you know what you're doing, right? Or you get some good advice on comps and the numbers, but more than likely, you have a buyer who's turned off about it being on market. They feel like, you know what, there's nothing special about this deal. They tell themselves, I could have bought that deal. They didn't, you did, right? And so I hear people, they say, you know what, Jerry, I took my on-market deal to a cash buyer and he says, I don't buy on market. This doesn't work. Well, how many cash buyers did you talk to? Go talk to 10 more. There is going to be a cash buyer if you got a good deal. Now that's the caveat. It's got to be a good deal. That don't care what you got the contract for. They don't care that it was on market. They don't care about any of that. They don't care about list price. They're looking at the numbers and they're saying, this is a deal. And I don't care how much you make. I want this deal. That's who you have to find. And so what I do is I call up my cash buyers and I say, hey, so I'm looking to source for deals. Tell me what you want. Okay, great. You know, some of the deals I get are on market. Now to get those good on market deals, I'm making 100 offers a month or more to get that one good deal. I know you don't like to do acquisitions, which is why we're friends. I'm going to do that for you. Do you care if I bring you an on-market deal if the numbers fit your criteria? And they say, I don't care where the deal comes from. Great. You're the one I'm going to call. When they say, well, we don't buy on market, I don't know why they would, why that's there. It's really dumb. But then you just know, okay, that's not my buyer. And then you keep going till you find the right buyer that doesn't care. Story, that's it. End the story.
Jamil, do you find people just stop after like 2 or 3 buyers, or do you find that people are buying what is the issue there? Is it that people are buying some list on Fiverr.com or something like that, and it's not a legitimate buyer's list and they're just sending out an email blast? Is it because they're going in a Facebook group? Like what the hell is keeping people from finding buyers? They're freaking everywhere.
Price.
It goes back to, there's 2 things that make people be unable to sell their deal. First thing is they locked up the deal too high. So let's remove the MLS thing. Let's remove all of that from the equation. If you're not, I do straight out of comping every Sunday. And every Sunday I get sent houses that are completely remodeled. and somebody submits it and says, "Hey, is this a deal?" And I want to say, hold on a second. Are we still missing the point of what it is we buy here? Right? We buy houses that are in need of work. We're looking for potential. There's no potential left here. This is all the potential has been fully realized in this property. Like there's no deal here for us, right? So they're either locking up stuff too high, and then the whole idea of, okay, it's on market, but the numbers are great and I can't find a buyer, then you haven't built any relationships yet.
Yes.
Look, guys, I'm not saying this to be negative about anybody out there, but these buyer list platforms, okay? That's not a relationship.
Yeah.
That is not a relationship. And you can pay them thousands of dollars a month and think that something is happening, but I still talk to the people who use platforms and systems like that are getting nothing. Nothing is connecting. You want to create relationships with your buyers so that it doesn't matter if the deal's on market or off market. If the numbers make sense, they trust you, they'll buy from you. Right. So that's what it comes down to. They look up the deal too high and they haven't created relationships with their buyers. End of story. That's it.
Well, I like what you were saying. A lot of the comps that you have are these properties that are in pretty decent shape. And I think the greatest analogy, if you're just like getting into this, if you've ever bought a car at a dealership and you've turned your car in for trade-in value, you're not getting the full amount. You know that if you went and you put new tires on it and you put you got a new paint job, you put a new sound system, you've made it all beautiful, you would get the full value for that car. But you're not going to do that. Why? Because you want the convenience of just trading in this car and getting a new one. The houses to go after are the trade-in cars. All right? For real. Those are the properties that you want to be going after because there is potential equity in these properties. So that means that there's going to be discounts. So go after those properties and you'll win.
Guys, thank you so much. 800 people have showed up live.
Wow.
With us. 800 people showed up. Thank you guys so much. I know Jerry is cool, but 800 people cool? My gosh, that's pretty amazing.
Cool. Not that cool.
If you guys are on, like, for example, we've got one of our streams, Pace Morby's Facebook group. We've got 45 people watching there. So if you guys are trying to network with people, maybe bounce around to some of the other streams. We've got Jerry Norton's YouTube. We've got Wholesale Hotline YouTube. We've got Brent Daniels YouTube, Jamil Damge's YouTube, and Pace Morby YouTube. Bounce around, find your people. We've got 800 freaking people watching live between our streams. So thank you so much for being here. Great question here. This is a good question. Brent, can a property be so distressed that it's not a deal?
Depends on price. It just depends on the price. I mean, maybe. I mean, in some of the markets where the properties are, it's going to cost more to renovate that property than it is than the value. Sure. That's why I suggest you go after properties that are above 150,000 once they're fixed up, because typically you're going to run into enough potential in those properties. So if you're going after those lower priced properties and they're totally destroyed, it gets really tough to move those because there's no juice left in it. There's just not. I mean, Jerry, what do you think?
Especially, especially if you go up a little bit in price, like for example, low ceilings, kiss of death, man. Low ceilings. If you fully renovate a house with 8-foot ceilings, sometimes 9-foot ceilings, and you're in a certain price point, I don't care how nice you make that house, a buyer does not want low ceilings. Mm-hmm. So there's some properties where you're like, you know what? There's more value in the land probably than in the house.
Right.
And so so there's a number, but where's the number and what makes sense? And that's just understanding your market.
Well, the thing I think about when the property is so bad is that it is a land deal. It's a tear down and a rebuild, right? I bought a property on 91st Street in Mesa, Arizona a couple of years ago. I bought it for land value, $16,000.
Yeah.
I ended up putting a mobile home on it and I sold it on seller finance. I created a note and sold it on seller finance to somebody. I've got a $175,000 note to somebody at 9.5% interest for 40 years. So there's deals there, but that means if the house is in such bad condition, don't you have to just look at it from a land perspective, Jerry, Jamil, and Brent?
Yeah, but I think also, Pace, I mean, there's low income areas where, like, if I go into Detroit and that house has an ARV of 80 and it has $100,000 rehab and the land value's, 10 grand,
Then
it's just not a deal. This is not a deal. Like, you just, move on. So you just got to know your numbers. It's all about the numbers.
Okay, so how do we learn how to comp? Jamil, how do we learn how to comp?
Sundays.
In 30
Sunday,
seconds.
5 p.m.
Yeah.
Sunday at 5 p.m. Guys, I donate the time. I mean, I don't.
How many
I'm
shows
not,
have you done?
I've I don't know, 40.
Okay.
40 of them. I'm not the only one who does this, right? Jerry, you comp live on your YouTube channel as well. I mean, Brent, if you show up on Wednesday to Brent's deal, he'll comp for you. I mean, if you've got a creative deal on Sunday service, Pace will comp it for you. I mean, all of us will show you how to do an evaluation. Every one of us can help you underwrite. But look, if you're having trouble comping, this is what I would suggest you do. I've got 40 or so episodes of Straight Outta Comping. Go back and watch the historicals and do this. Write down the address, okay? Right when you see us put the address up on the ticker, write it down, pause. Write it down, go comp the property yourself, and then hit play, and then see if you were right or wrong. And do that over and over and over and over until you're more right than you are wrong, until you get so good at it that you're never wrong. And when you get to that point, then you know that you've mastered comping, and then you've learned something. You figured out you got the key. If you figure out how to understand value in this business, you become the best. You become valuable to everybody because everybody wants to know what your number is. And so they'll constantly, Pace will still send me a deal and be like, hey, should I buy this? Like to this day, he'll just be like, bro, I don't even want, I trust your numbers so much that I will send it to you just to make sure I know that I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah, I legit was sitting next to him yesterday on set for the TV show, and I get the address sent to me in a text message. I don't even look at it. I go, hey, comp this.
What's comping, Jerry? Somebody's asking.
It's looking at the comparables to understand what the value is of the home. And so, there's a bit of science, there's a bit of art. It does take some practice. One of the things that I teach how to do is do exactly like Jamil said. You comp it, but if it's an on-market deal, when I'm talking to that agent, I'll say to the agent, hey, so, I'm working on my back-end number. And I'm curious what you think the back-end number is of this property. And then they'll give me a number. And I already have my number. I don't tell them my number. I want to hear their number. And they'll tell me their number. And if their number's right on, I'm like, okay, that's cool. So you're thinking the same way I'm thinking. If they're off, up or down, I'll ask them. I'll say, now, where are you getting that from? Not in a negative way, like challenging them, but more like, help me understand. Maybe they see something I don't see. So I'll ask them and I'll say, well, why do you think it'll get 240? And they'll say, well, I'm looking at this comp over here that was 220. Is that not a good comp? And then I learned so much from the agents. They'll say, well, you know what? That's a smaller lot on that property. Oh, okay. Or they'll tell me things that I didn't know. Oh, that one's got whatever, right? It's got a 2-car, not a 1-car. That matters here. And so I let the agents educate me quite a bit. I'm just open-minded. I already know my number, what I think it is. And then that's really helps me learn things that I probably wouldn't have known, especially if you're new or if it's in a market that you're not totally comfortable with yet. So I do a lot of virtual. So these are some of these markets I've never looked at deals before. Now I follow best practices, but sometimes there's nuances in a market and not all agents are competent. Like Jamil said that. Some of them, I saw Jamil made a post that said, agents aren't taught how to comp at real estate school, and they're not. No one teaches them how to comp. That's something they got to try to figure out, just like you and I try to figure out. But some of them are really good and they know their neighborhoods and they can tell you about what's going on and help you understand things at a different level.
It's great.
Yep.
Jamil, Medium Wave Dave, one of our favorite, he actually was a guest on Wholesale Hotline recently, one of our favorite people, asked a question. Jamil, what's the formula for a repair estimate? Do you have kind of a tried and true repair estimate formula?
So I do have some numbers that I hang on to for how much repairs are going to cost. But what I prefer to do, Pace, is I prefer to look at the market, and I prefer to say what percentage of ARV do I need to buy at if the repairs are cosmetic, and what percentage of ARV do I need to buy at if the repairs are full gut. And then I just stick to those to those ratios, and then I don't even bother with trying to determine what the repair estimate's going to be, because again, repair estimates are subjective. Okay. You could take the exact same house and you could say to Jerry, how much is it going to cost to repair this house? And you can come to Jamil and you can say, Jamil, how much is it going to cost to repair this house? And you're going to have two different numbers. You can go to two contractors and you can say, hey, how much is it going to cost to fix this house? And you go to contractor B and say, how much is it going to cost to fix this house? And they're going to be two completely different numbers. Repairs are subjective. There are subjective, guys. Trust me on that.
Yeah.
What I do in one house is not going to be what Pace does in that house. It's not going to be what Jerry does in that house, and so on and so forth. That's just the way it is. But if I have to give you what that number is for a cosmetic repair right now, cosmetic repairs, and this is pretty much what I've been seeing across the country for cosmetics, we're probably sitting at around $30 to $35 a square foot. That's what shit's costing right now.
For total?
Total.
Yeah.
$30 to $35 a square foot.
Yeah.
So let's just do some math, for instance. If somebody sends you a wholesale deal and says $10,000 in repair, hang up on them.
Yeah.
Okay. There's no such thing. Nothing happens in 10 grand anymore. But here it is. You got 1,000 square foot house.
Yep.
You have cosmetic repairs to do. What is that going to cost you? $30,000 to $35,000.
Yep.
That's it. Now, new construction's running at around $125 a square foot. And that's not Jerry Norton new construction. That's not Jerry Norton new construction. That's new construction in just your average, your median price point materials.
Love it.
That's
Okay.
it.
Here's a great question for all four of us. I want everybody to rapid fire this answer. Okay. Find the best deal first or get a cash buyer first. I can tell you right now, my answer is if you drop me in the middle of any random market, I don't have any resources, I don't know anybody, the first thing I'm doing is market research before I go create a product. Our product is a contract. If we're wholesaling, that's my product. How do I know who I'm going to sell my product to if I don't even know? How am I going to know what product to build if I don't know who my buyer is? So for me, I go find a cash buyer first. I do market research, and then I go hunt for those types of deals immediately. Jerry, what would you do? Find a deal first or a cash buyer first?
Yeah, I'm the opposite, because I feel like in the equation of wholesaling, the hardest part is a good deal. The easiest part is a cash buyer. So I want to tackle that hard first. I know if I get a good deal, I can find a buyer really easily because that's the market we're in. There's no inventory. Buyers are dying for deals. So I want to put my energy in the deal. And then, but again, I also know how to easily find buyers. So I'm not intimidated by the buyer side.
Love it. Okay. I think I could agree with you. I could be convinced. I think the challenge is so many people, they go after their first deal, not knowing what a good deal is, not understanding value. And then their immediate issue is nobody wants this deal. Even if they find a credible buyer, they spent all that time and energy locking up a deal just to find out it wasn't a deal in the first place once they present it to real cash buyers. So I love that. The difference between you and the audience is I think you know how to find value. So here's another follow-up question. I want to hear this from Jamil and Brent as well. Jerry, I drop you in Arkansas. You don't have any resources. You've never done a deal before. You want to go out and find your first deal. Are you going direct to agent immediate? What are you doing?
Yeah, that's the first thing I would do is I would start calling listing agents. I drum up a deal through a listing agent, and then I would go find my buyer after I've got a contract. That's what I would do.
Okay, Jamil, what rapid fire? What are your answers to those questions?
1,000%. I'm going to an agent. I'm going to start doing agent outreach. I'm going to start creating. First thing I would do is I would hop into my computer and I would run an analytic to see if I could find an on-market deal that made sense. Second thing I was going to do is I would cold call 20 real estate agents and see if they had anything coming to the market that made sense. The next thing I would do is I'd go into Facebook groups and I would find the wholesalers that were the quickest to respond, that might have some interesting inventory. The fourth thing I would do is I would go onto Google and I would start Googling cash buyers in whatever town you drop me in, and I would call all of those people, all of those things that popped up on Google, because they're spending money to find deals. So they're obviously well-equipped, well-capitalized wholesalers in the market. And if I didn't have a deal from those activities, then just take me out to pasture.
Brent Daniels, what would you do? New market, no resources. You don't know anybody in town. Are you finding a cash buyer first, a deal first? And if you are going after a deal, how are you going to find that deal?
I think I think something that's not being mentioned here that we all have, but we forgot that we earned it, is confidence. Okay.
Yes, 100%.
We earned our confidence by going out there and talking to distressed property owners. We went there and talking to agents. We went out there and talked to the cash buyers. We went out there and we were brave. We sucked up our courage, and we built our confidence by going out there and using our mouth, using our phone, and going to work. So I would find the ugliest house. I would go and try to find the ugliest houses, and I would try to build up my confidence, and I would start to talk to as many of those property owners as possible. And I would find an opportunity there in a seller's market. I would go after a property first, a deal first. Then I would sell that deal to, a ton of people that I would find either online or meetups or whatever it is. So I think that in the beginning, the toughest hurdle is building your confidence, doing something that you've never done before. And I think the easiest path to victory there is to talk to an actual homeowner, as opposed to feel a little bit intimidated. I would feel a little bit intimidated just talking to a real estate agent off the bat. I'd feel more comfortable talking directly to the property owner.
Interesting. And I don't think anybody has the right or wrong answer here. I love how diverse this really is. I think the question I posed was to you guys as individuals, but if you're brand new and you could start over, you didn't have the confidence, you didn't know how to comp a deal, would you then go to find a cash buyer who could then help you vet deals and opportunities for you, instead of you having to learn that process from the get-go?
I think so. I think going to a cash buyer and just getting a lay of the land is great. But here's the thing, and why I love the concept of going to a cash buyer first. But man, I've had a lot of conversations with a lot of cash buyers, and oh my God, will a cash buyer take you down a rabbit hole?
Mm-hmm.
Legit. So they start to talk about the nuances, the little things that they like, that, but don't get, 85008. Yeah, I love 85008, but stay away from 85009. Don't go anywhere near 85009. Now, if you're going to go to 85007, make sure that when you do that, stay on the right-hand side of where the taco shop is over there, because if you're on the other side of the taco shop, it's really hard for my wife to make that left turn. So it's going to be very difficult for us to go out and do projects there, because she's always driving. And the reason why she's always driving is I got frostbite one day and I can't use, I lost, holy crap. And that's what you're going to get into when you start having the conversations with these buyers. You're going to find all the idiosyncrasies, all the crazy shit that they care about that isn't really necessary or pertinent to you doing a deal or not. So that's what ends up happening when you have these conversations with cash buyers. You get personality, you get all the craziness that they have to offer as well, and possibly a buyer,
Yeah.
But
yeah, I think, Pace, what I may do differently, if it was a brand new market I got dropped in and I didn't know what buyers were doing there, I would probably do a little buyer research. And this is really easy to do. You can actually do this on Zillow and Redfin, where I go look at solds, I find the flips, and those are easy to identify. They're renovated, they're vacant, and sometimes staged. Mm-hmm. And then I would do a price history and I would see what that flipper bought it for. And I would get a trend of 5, 6, 10. And
hey,
then
Jerry, can I pause you for a second? Steve Trang needs to say hello to you. Steve Trang, say hello to Jerry Norton, Brent Daniels, and Jamil Damji, plus 850 people watching you live.
Golly. Hi, how's everyone doing?
Steve Trang calling during Wholesale Hotline to wish me happy birthday, or potentially to ask me if I have any deals. Which
Steve,
one
we've been doing the show for 2 years, bro.
To say happy birthday.
Steve, we'll have to have you on Wholesale Hotline soon. Jerry Norton says hi. Jamil says hi, and Brent Daniels says hi.
Love you, Steve.
Cool. Actually made a video where I mentioned today you guys about collaboration. So.
Oh, I love it. Well, the boys say hi. I'll shoot you a text later.
All right. Later. Have a
Thank
great
you,
day.
brother. Later. Sorry to cut you off, Jerry. You were on a roll.
No.
I'm sorry.
So sometimes we get all hung up on ARV at 70, 75, 80, 85. What is it? Less repairs. A way faster way to wholesale is just figure out what the bottom is, where the buyers are paying at the bottom, and there's your number. Assuming that you find a house that's similar to those ones, now you know what they bought, and you know what you can go after when you make your offers on your deals now. And it's a really simple way to just dumb down finding your cash buyer.
I think also squatting up. I mean, squat up with somebody in the market that's doing deals. Yes. Squat up with somebody that has really good energy and is going to split the deal with you 50-50, but they're going to comp the deal for you. They're going to help you, introduce you to an escrow officer or a closing attorney. They're going to make sure that you're not offering something that you can't commit to. You know what I mean?
That brings up a good point. So I'm interviewing one of my students tomorrow on Zoom about his deal, and he did 6,500, his side 6,500, and through some coaching with him, he's like, okay, what's the fastest way for me to find a buyer? And this is what I tell people. I say, is Keegley in your market? Go find that out first. When you get your deal, call Keegley, because if it's a deal, they'll tell you it's a deal, and if it's a deal, they have a buyer. And that's a great way. JV with the Keegley guy, because those guys are doing deals, and you're done. And that's what he did. He called Keegley, and he JV'd with Keegley, got his deal done on market too, which was cool. And his cut was 6,500, and he's ecstatic.
Incredible. See, life changing. $6,500 can change someone's entire situation because they can go in and now they've got proof of concept. They have enough money to keep the lights on for the month, and they can go to town. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, and so the question is, well, shoot, why didn't he go find his own cash buyer? He could have doubled his wholesale fee. Do you think he's thinking that? He's thinking, I made a call to Keegley and they handled the rest. That's it. I didn't have to do anything else. They got the thing to closing, and here I am holding a check. That's amazing.
I love this. So here's a question on the screen from Major Davis. Same question, but let's assume for some odd reason you guys are doing this in a brand new market with no money. Would you make a difference at all? So I have a challenge for myself coming up on July 1st that I'm going to be doing for 30 days. I'm going to be taking my wife, my 3 children to a random market and partnering with somebody inside of this community as I'm their partner for 10 hours a day for 30 straight days. We're going to document it. I'm going to show you guys exactly how I would get my first deal with no money, no resources, no software, nothing but my cell phone. I will get my first deal within a couple of days. Now, here's what I'll do. If I have limited time and I don't want to wait for a deal to close, I've done this multiple times where I will go to a buyer and I'll say, hey, I've got a deal. I want to assign it to you. I'm making, and they go, great, that's a great deal. Send me the assignment. The assignment fee might be $10,000, $15,000. After they sign the assignment fee, I call the buyer and I go, hey, if you can get me paid half of the money up front right now before we even close escrow, I'll cut my assignment fee in half. I will show you guys how fast I can get an assignment fee before I even close escrow. It is risky for the buyer. I totally get it, but I've done it twice with buyers before. I will show you guys how to do that. I can get an assignment fee on a deal within 24 hours of starting in a brand new market, cash in my pocket without having to wait for a close of escrow. Okay. And then I will immediately use that money to then build the business, get some cold callers, get some systems, get some software, pull a list, and start cranking out deals. Now, I could go direct to agent. That's not necessarily my favorite thing to do. I love going direct to seller. It's just something I love to do. So I'm going to be doing that on July 1st. I'm going to be choosing somebody in our community. You don't have to be an Astro student or a TTP student or a Jerry student or a Sub2 student. It's going to be somebody in this community. All right. And I will show you guys. Actually, I would come to Birmingham. Surprisingly, I thought Birmingham was going to be crap. Jamil and I have been there multiple times, and it's a really cool little town. So we'll show you guys how that's done. Let's jump onto another question that I saw earlier. Interest rates are hiking up. Jerry, Jamil, Brent, they're hiking up. They're going to continue to hike up. Inflation's at 7.5. We actually believe, I'm sure all 4 of us on the screen realize it actually is higher than 7.5, but it's been stated by the Fed that it's at least 7.5 right now. That's insane. That means Jerry just made $1 million on a deal. If he leaves that money in his bank account for the next 12 months, that means he will lose $75,000 on that money. Inflation is kicking. So the only way to actually mitigate the inflation is for them to raise interest rates. Jerry, Jamil, Brent, whoever wants to go first, what do you think is going to happen to our market over the next 12 months due to interest rate hikes and other things coming down the pipe?
I'll go. So I don't think the hikes we're going to see are going to be significant enough to impact the massive shortage of inventory that is not getting fixed anytime soon, that is not going to prevent buyers from still buying. If we go to 4.5, even 5, I don't think it's going to impact the market, is my opinion. Because, again, the demand is so high and the inventory so low. I heard right now that to keep up with the housing demand with new construction, we're not even on pace for half of where we should be just to meet the normal demand for housing. And so we're seeing the national median home price go up, 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 up. We're seeing no inventory. All the predictions are that we're going to have another year of double-digit appreciation across the board. Many markets are hitting 20s and 30s. And so a 0.5% increase in interest rates not going to prevent a buyer from wanting to buy, is my opinion.
Jamil, Brent.
I'm 100% in agreement with that. We're still talking 4% interest. Okay. If we're talking about 7-8% interest rates, then we have something to talk about. But we're talking about 4%. You know the difference between where we are right now and the hikes that they're talking about. You know what that's going to create, or what kind of a difference that means in per month in mortgage payment? $200.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
$200.
Mm-hmm.
So when people are not lining up around the corner for $5 or $8 Starbucks that they cost now, so when that stops happening, then I'm going to start worrying about what $200 is going to do to the average American household per month. And so that's just my opinion. Don't shoot me for it.
Focus on what you can control. That's it. Good market, bad market. You still have to talk to people. You still have to generate leads, convert them, and then figure out what exit strategy you want. I mean, that's the truth. Focus on what you can control. You can't control the economy. You're not going to be able to. You can't control inflation, can't control interest rates. You can only control what you're going to do over the next 24 hours. That's it. What are you going to do? Are you going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to be proactive and you're going to go and you're going to follow up with your leads and you're going to pre-qualify them and you're going to go on appointments and you're going to generate some new opportunities? Or are you going to sit around and look at social media or look at the news and get the doom and gloom of everything that's going on and let that poison your productivity? That's it. I don't care. I really don't care if it goes up, if it goes down, if it does whatever. I'm still going to do what I'm going to do. And that's talk to a whole hell of a lot of people and find a lot of opportunities. So it doesn't matter. You can only control what you can control. You can only focus on what you can control. So just stay in the pocket there and stop hallucinating the worst case scenarios because you're trying to protect yourself of putting all this effort in and growing this business. And then all of a sudden it crumbles. It's not going to happen. More people became millionaires during the downturn in real estate than they did right now. I'm telling you right now.
I was broke before
I am telling you.
I lost everything, and the downturn is what got me where I am today.
Right. There you go.
Super
Focus
interesting.
on what you can control.
Do you think the question, because that comes up all the time, especially right now, and I think one of the hottest YouTube videos that you could make right now to get eyeballs is, oh my gosh, are we headed for a crash? You see everybody doing it all the time, right? They're always doing this.
And if you make a video about how it's not going to crash, no one cares.
No, you got to.
Why
go
is
negative,
that, Jerry?
apparently.
What, Jerry? What's the human psychology behind that? What is going on with that?
Well, it's fear. Fear is a motive. So gaining is a motivation, and fear is also a great way to talk ourselves out of a lot of things. Like, you know what, maybe I should wait in real estate because I heard the interest rates are going to go up and the market's going to crash. And so I don't want to get into real estate now. It might crash. And so it's just a way, I think it's just a way of talking yourself out of doing what Brent said and just, buckle down and do the business. So the market always goes like this, right? So what do we do as wholesalers? We go like this too, just underneath it, like the same way. So who cares if it's up or down? Who cares if the rates are going to affect it? We're in and out of deals fast enough to where if we're paying attention, we just adjust with it. And so it doesn't matter.
Love it.
Yep.
By the way,
everybody's scared. Everybody's scared that it's going to be a 2008. If you really do any kind of research at all and understand what caused that versus what's going on now, you will sleep very well at night.
I mean, lending has never been tighter, ever. We do not have unqualified people in the mortgage taking mortgages right now. It hasn't happened since the market crashed. Dodd-Frank, stop that.
You've got a lack of inventory. Every decade, 20 million houses are built since the 70s, 20 million, 80s, 20 million, 90s, 20 million, 2000 to 2010, 20 million. Guess what happens? 2010 to 2020, 8 million, 12 million in lack of inventory, 30 million more people in this country. There's a reason why housing is going bananas. Stop hallucinating.
Do you know that 20% of all of the home purchases last month were made by institutions?
That's it. And then you got the hedge funds buying.
That's what I mean. 20% of all transactions were non-primary buyers.
What does that mean, Jamil?
A primary buyer is a school teacher, a fireman, a cop, a pharmacist.
Matt, are you able to
a regular person who goes out to buy a house? That's a primary buyer. Okay, it used to be that 100% of purchases were close to 100% were primary buyers or small landlords. Now, 20% of the home purchases that are being made out there are institutions that don't give a crap about an interest rate.
But look at this. You want to look for opportunity. We talk about 6 to 10% of the real estate market being in distress at all times. 2020 census comes out. Boom, right there. Can you make that bigger, Pace?
Yes, sir.
If you look there and look at the vacant, these are in thousands. There's 141 million properties. Look where it says vacant. Right there. 1, 2, 3, 4 down. Vacant. 15 million year round. How many?
11 million.
11,789,000 right there, one down, year round. There are more opportunities than there are us. Go out there. Stop hallucinating. Stop letting the fear sneak into your brain. There are so many opportunities.
And lastly, guys, look at mortgage rates, the average mortgage price versus rent. Rent is up here right now, and mortgages are down here right now. That is a strong indicator that nothing could happen.
Look at Jeremy.
Look at this.
Come on, Jeremy.
Look at this. Yeah, great. But when rent is far below what a mortgage payment is, that's an indication that we might be heading for some trouble.
We got some problems.
Because we know that people will just abandon their houses and they'll rent. But rent is incredibly high comparatively to what a mortgage is. So, I mean, again, still, we're not anywhere close to having that conversation.
Boom.
I want to give a special shout out to Jerry Norton's YouTube channel. Because of you, I probably buy 1 or 2 deals a quarter from people finding me on your YouTube channel and then bringing me seller finance and subject to deals. In fact, Christina Solara, who's in the side chat, she's so helpful. You can see her chatting with other people. She's constantly helping a ton of people. She is doing her first deal was a creative finance triplex I bought from her. I own it. It's currently rented out in Fayetteville, North Carolina, a place that I'm currently accumulating properties. She came from your YouTube channel, bro. You've made me so much money. I'm so grateful to you. So many other people in the side comments love you, adore you, and want you to never quit your YouTube channel because you are crushing it. Congratulations, bro. You're on your way to 1 million subscribers. I guarantee you're going to hit that number.
You know what I have? This is really funny, Pace. So I made this on Etsy. You've seen it, Pace, in my office.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's not real. It's fake. Yet. It's not real yet. Yeah.
He made his own 1 million subscribers plaque from YouTube, guys. That's called manifestation.
Yeah. It's a real thing.
Jerry, what are you doing lately? How can people find you? Are you doing any sort of challenges? Are you speaking anywhere? Do you have any webinars? Do you have anything that we can promote and talk about to the people, the 850 people that are watching live right now?
Well, I mean, we definitely have the association we're working on. You guys are all part of that, big believers in it. I've got a video coming out on Wednesday. Everybody should pay attention to. I don't know if you guys have heard yet, but Nebraska is now almost through all of legislation. It's about to go to the governor for signing. So it looks like it's going to happen. And they are passing almost the same identical bill as Oklahoma, which is in regards to marketing your contracts. You have to have a license now to publicly market your contract. And so, we've been saying this for a while, that regulation is coming. It's coming fast. The snowball effect is happening, right? And we also know that this year Texas is exploring regulation. Both Kansas and Missouri have come out and said that they are going to be proposing legislation this year. And so, the four of us are really wanting to get behind this movement to improve the industry and to raise the standard, create some best practices, rally together, maybe fight back some of this anti-wholesaler movement that's sweeping America. And, I love you guys because you guys have bled for this industry. And I want it to be around for a long time, way past my time. And I know you guys do too. And so we've got to really step up and make a difference and try to protect the industry as best we can so that we don't get steamrolled and we don't get put out of business or over-regulated. We'll never get put out of business because we'll just adjust. Like, there's easy ways to adapt around these things that are happening. It's not so much that, because we can double close or, go get your license or whatever. It's more about what I don't like is just this perception that wholesalers scam people and rip off old ladies and all of this narrative that's going on, when in fact we actually are the most important part of the entire investing cog. Without wholesalers, it would all fall apart. I didn't tell you guys this, but I met with the Private Lender Association, the National Private Lender Association. They called me and they said, "Hey, I love what you guys are doing. We want to get behind it. We want to support you." They said, "We went back and talked to all of our lenders in real estate, and they all came back with the stats. 70, I forget what it is. It's like 70% of all of their loans they fund were sourced by wholesalers."
Yep.
That's bonkers.
Yeah.
Think about that. These are lenders lending to flippers. 70% are coming from wholesalers. Those flippers would not have deals. Neighborhoods would not be getting fixed. Affordable housing would not be happening if it wasn't for you out there doing what you do. That's how important we are.
That's an amazing stat.
Yep.
So get behind that, guys. It's we've got the site up. There's a ton of work we got to do still this year and ongoing, but it's nrewa.org. You can get on an email list. We'll keep you updated, but pay attention, guys, because you are going to want to start thinking about what's going to happen when they regulate my state, because it's not a matter of if but when, because it's happening now. Like, that's the thing to do, is to require licensing for doing the assignment.
When's your next video coming out, Jerry, and where can they find it?
Wednesday. Flipping Mastery TV is we'll release it Wednesday morning, but it's all about the Nebraska. I break down the bill, I explain what it means, how to adjust, what your options are. And so, but it's looking like once the governor passes it, which I think it's coming up here, I don't know when, a couple weeks or whatever, it's happening soon, then it goes into effect 90 days later. So if you're Nebraska and you want to publicly market your contract, you are now going to need a real estate license.
Interesting.
Cool.
Jamil Damji, you've got Straight Outta Comping coming up this coming Sunday. Guys, if you have a question about comping, Jamil gave you some of the best advice tonight. He said, come in, watch Straight Outta Comping. When an address comes up on the screen, I mean, guys, there's a live audience, just like Wholesale Hotline, all learning how to comp live. Now, Jamil's advice to you was take the address, put it on pause, comp it yourself, put it back on live, catch up, watch the number that Jamil comped, why he comped that number, and compare it to your own. It's the best way to learn how to run numbers. Be part of that community. It's one of the greatest little communities inside of this world, is people that are comping deals every single Sunday. Jamil, what time is that on your YouTube channel?
5 p.m. Arizona time every Sunday on my YouTube channel. It's just youtube.com/Jamil Damji.
Love it. And that's JamilDamji, guys, for anybody that is not watching Straight Outta Comping. If you have a question about comping houses and evaluating and coming up with the right number, don't come and ask us to comp here because Jamil's doing it live every single Sunday, 5 p.m. Arizona time. Brent Daniels.
Yep.
The YouTube channel that really I love more than anything is yours. I love what you're doing on Wednesdays live. What are you doing on Wednesdays what are you doing this Wednesday? Because it's different every week.
Yeah.
What is your topic and what time and where can we watch it?
Well, here's the thing. It's different every week, but the core, the heart of it is the same. We find big, massive deals. So if you're interested in finding big, massive deals, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time, Wednesdays, every Wednesday, Brent Daniels live show. If you have questions that didn't get answered here, pop on in. I'd love to answer them live. We go for 2 hours, 10 a.m. to noon, Mountain Standard Time on the Brent Daniels YouTube channel.
Jerry Norton, we love you, brother.
That's
you're the freaking man, Jerry, for coming in here. It's 10 o'clock your time in Puerto Rico. We saw you hanging out with Jory Olson a couple of days ago, a friend of the show as well. Are you guys doing a collab together? Are you guys doing a video together? When can we see that?
We actually shot 3 content videos. I love that guy, Pace. Thank you for introducing him to me.
Absolutely. That's my job.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Jory's great.
My job is to provide 1/10 of the value that you've provided to me, Jerry, and I got
about way more than
50 years to go, bro.
Hey, Pace.
Yeah.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, brother.
Thank you guys.
What do you do every week on Sunday that people can tune in and listen to and be a part of?
I try and make babies every Sunday, guys. So
is that live on the YouTube channel?
It's live on his YouTube channel. Yep.
Instagram or
he goes on IG Live and then he shows us how to do it.
Guys, we are on Sunday service every Sunday, 7 p.m. Arizona time. Last night we had about 900 people on Sunday service watching Creative Finance Conversation. This coming week, we are breaking down all 27 different creative finance strategies that I have utilized in my business. There are 27 of them, and we will break them all down this coming Sunday. So I'll see you guys there. And what's next week for Wholesale Hotline, gentlemen? Are we doing a Q&A or what's the topic for next week?
Maybe it'll be a surprise guest.
Maybe it will be.
Yeah.
We will see you guys next week on Wholesale Hotline.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate
Later,
you guys.
Jerry. Love you.
Hey, Jerry.
Or just say squat up.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
What are you doing?
I didn't say nothing.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Cool. I think we should use the one where Jamil doesn't